Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Dallas Stars franchise mode here in NHL 20. So in last episode we started up the year 2 season simulation, and we're not off to the greatest start. As you can see, our record is 18-24-7-1 here at February the 1st. As well, in our last 10 we are 2-7-1, so we are trending downwards and we're kind of far out of a playoff spot, but we are going to be making a trade to help out with our secondary scoring a bit more. So let's get to that trade. So I got a comment suggestion from Thomas Moritz, who said, consider trading for Scott Young. He would be a bona fide top 6 forward too, and he'll bolster your secondary scoring. Also pay attention to chemistry, as Medano is playing on a line that has like no boosts. So basically we are going to have to bring in Scott Young, and we're going to probably swap around our lines a bit because this first line isn't like helping out Medano at all. Like, it could be Dave Gagne holding him down, because I know Courtnall's been putting up a lot of points. Gagne's kind of been the weaker player out of this line, so maybe we want to move Gagne down, for example, and yeah, we could put like McPhee to the top line, even though that's kind of weird. But yeah, basically what we're going to do is we're going to be acquiring Scott Young, and we're going to be probably putting Paul Broughton down to the, or scratching Paul Broughton. And then we're going to probably try and trade away Shane Churla, just because Shane Churla, like, he's not gotten a lot of ice time, and he still has one more year left after this. So it's best to try and trade him away to somewhere where he could actually get the play maybe. So yeah, let's get to those trades. I was looking at the trade finder earlier to see what kind of offers I could get, or what could I get, have to give up in order to get somebody like Scott Young. And the only thing that Quebec was willing to get was some picks. So we're going to have to give up some picks to get him, but I think he could help us out for a few years down the road. He does only have 1 year left, which is kind of annoying, but we will re-sign him because he's only 28. And he actually did play with the Dallas Stars in the earlier 2000s, I believe, so it's kind of neat to bring him in. So as you can see, we're going to be giving up a second and a third for the 2022 draft, so for next year's draft. Hopefully we're a good team by then, so then those are like late round picks. So we're going to accept that deal and bring in Scott Young. And then, like I said, we are going to be flipping away Shane Churla. Even though in real life I think Shane Churla only mostly played with Dallas. I think he might have played with the Rangers as well. We're going to be getting rid of him because 77, 30 years old isn't that bad, but 2 years left is just kind of annoying, and he's a depth guy really only. So we're going to flip him, and there was a lot of actually trade offers for him, so let's see if we can find the best one available. Just some late round picks that we could eventually move out as well. So yeah, we're gonna go with a 5th and a 7th from Boston, because Buffalo I know is really good because obviously they acquired Fedorov in free agency. So we're gonna accept the one from Boston and move Shane Churla there. Now let's get to our lineup changes. Try and see if we could get some better chemistry for Mike Medano in his line mates. Even though Dave Gagne should be fine on that top line, it doesn't give that line any boosts. So Paul Broughton's now going to be our depth guy, because in real life he never really played much in the NHL. So, and we're going to put Scott Young in there, which doesn't seem to give that line any boosts either. It's negative. Okay, so that line has good boosts. Do I want to move Russ Courtnall down? I don't know about that. Any of these guys have good face-offs? I don't think so. Does Dave Gagne have good face-offs? Oh yeah, he does. Let's move Dave Gagne to second line center. Put Broughton on the wing. No. I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll put Scott Young up on the top line. Yeah, okay, that works really well. So good suggestion from Thomas, though, to bring in Scott Young, because he does seem to have good chemistry with that top line. And then we'll swap this around, and yeah, I think it should be fine playing Dave Gagne as a right winger. Okay, so now that we have made our trades, hopefully that gives us a bit of a boost. Like, I would like to make the playoffs this season still, but if we don't for some reason, at least we have a good secondary scoring option in Scott Young, who we just acquired from Quebec. And yeah, we have better depth kind of in a sense, because Paul Broughton's a better depth forward than Shane Churla is. As well, Shane Churla takes a lot of penalty minutes, so he's kind of good to let go of. And now Quebec wants to make another trade with us to give us Andrei Kovalenko, but I don't really need Andrei Kovalenko because I'd have to figure out somebody else to take out of the lineup, so not going to do that. Dave Lowry, no thank you. We're going to also check right at the trade deadline to see if there's been any trades around the league. Hopefully we see some blockbusters this year, because I think last year there wasn't a lot of trades, but there wasn't any huge ones if I remember correctly. So there's a trade. So Kai Nurminen and Gabriel Dumont, who's an AHL player, for a second and a third. Interesting. Finland and Sweden making a deal. No, thank you. Not making any more trades, I think, this year. If we are going to make trades, it's going to probably happen in the off season or something like that. So Chicago has acquired Joe Ricci, or is it Jeff Ricci? I don't remember always. I always mix the two up. I think it's Joe. Yeah, I think so. And Bob Rouse go to Chicago for a first and a second, which head to Ottawa. So Ottawa's still in the rebuilding state, which is realistic, because obviously they didn't make the playoffs till 1998. No, thank you. So we're still struggling, it seems like, which is not good. But I mean, the first few years we're gonna take our time. But once we get closer to like what was the actual 1999 season, hopefully we could be a contender. So Grant Ledyard and Craig Ludwig for Williams, who's a top 6 forward prospect in a second. Now that's a really interesting deal, but I don't think Josh Williams, I think that's that Medicine Hat Tigers guy, I don't think he grows to being really anything huge, so I'm not going to accept that deal. And besides, I don't want to be calling up guys from the AHL at this point. So San Jose's acquired Curtis Lezizian and Stephen Finn from Quebec for a second and a third. I think that's kind of realistic to an extent, because both of those guys aren't the greatest defensemen. Ledyard in a 7th for 2 seconds. Nah, I'm good. I mean, I could always trade away Ledyard and then put in Ludwig instead, but a lot of teams seem to want both of them. We're also getting offered Gonchar in a 2nd for the two of them. That's interesting, because that's not a real guy, obviously. That's a EA-generated player. Game against Chicago is a 2-2 tie, and LA has acquired John Chabot and John Mayer, I think his name is. I don't remember his first name. Go to LA for a 1st and a 6th, which head back to Germany. But yeah, hopefully we see something that's like a huge trade that we're like, holy crap, like what the hell just happened? Like, I think the biggest one last year, I think, was Grant Fuhr getting traded. And Dave Gagne's been injured with a sore knee, so I'll just go replace player. No, thank you. Also, I'm trying to go through this episode as fast as possible because I'm on a bit of a time constraint for recordings, so just in case you guys know. So Carbonneau and Butcher head to Toronto for a 1st and a 4th. That's weird, Carbonneau in Toronto. That's going to have a lot of Habs fans probably mad. Can we beat the Rangers? No, we can't. Yeah, we're definitely not a playoff team this year, I think, at this rate. And let's go right to the trade deadline. Or right till the day after the trade deadline, because I'm not making any more trades. Okay, so we are 23-39-1 right after the trade deadline. Not a good record. More than likely not making the playoffs at this rate. Let's take a quick look at those trades that have happened around the league. I probably won't name all of them just because I have not a lot of time, but I will scroll through them so you guys can see them. But yeah, any of the big ones I'll probably... Well, I'll write down all these trades probably for future reference. Any interesting trades? No, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, actually. Yeah, there isn't. So Quebec's just offloading a lot of players, which is really weird, but okay. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of trades this year. That's kind of annoying, but oh well. So yeah, let's just continue simulating. I don't want to press B, you stupid thing. So yeah, let's just continue simulating, get the rest of the season simulated, and I don't know if I'll sim all the way up to the draft so we see the retirements and stuff this episode, just because I don't have a lot of time, but I will go through the player stats and the standings and all that so you guys could get a feel for how we finished the season. So Dave Gagne is back, which means Paul Broughton could get out to the line. Him and his brother were actually playing on the same line, which is kind of cool. So Dave Gagne is back. There you go. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be a playoff team. Yeah, we're probably not. Unless we just somehow won like every single game left this season. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Smolik's been injured. We're putting Ludwig to replace him. We get back-to-back wins over some European teams. Can we beat Sweden as well? Yes, we can. So we seem to be able to beat the European teams, which is not much of a problem. Because the Europe teams are all not the greatest because a lot of them are really young or really old. There you go. Game against Buffalo is a loss. Game against Germany, a divisional rival, and we beat them as well. Game against Detroit is a tie. So, I mean, we're kind of finding our way back to 500, which is good, but at this rate, we should not be a playoff team unless we were to win everything left this season. Last two games of that month is both losses pretty much, or one's a tie, one's a loss. 3 games left of the season. Yeah, we're not making the playoffs. Another bad year here in Dallas. Gilchrist was never injured, unless he was injured in the last episode. And our final game of the season is also wins. So we finished 30, 37, 13, and 2, which is not very good. But hopefully we come back better next year when we have like Anton Lundell, I think, is going to be making the NHL already. So there is that. Let's take a look at our player stats for the season and the standings as well as the progress reports. And then I think that'll be pretty much it for this episode, even though we are only at like 12 minutes. So center-wise, Mike Modano had 70 points this year. I think that's a bit down. Well, actually, it's better than last year, but he wasn't over point per game like he was last year. He's up to 117 career points. Neil Broughton, 57 points. Pretty good year for him. And yeah, he's probably close to retirement, I would assume. Dina Vason, 26 points. Brent Gilchrist, 14 points, but a minus 19. And Stapleton, 11 points, but a minus 16. As for left wingers, Dave Gagne, 51 points, minus 18. Trent Klatt, 41 points. Maybe we want to start playing him on the second line because he was playing on the third line all year, I think. Pelle Eklund, 39 points. And Mike McPhee, 37 points, but a plus 7. So pretty good there for Mike McPhee in terms of plus minus. As for right wingers, Russ Courtnall, 71 points to lead the team, only a minus 2. Scott Young, 45 points in 83 games. 22 of them came with us in 32 games, and he was a plus 13. So, yeah, he was definitely a good pickup for us, I think. We'll definitely re-sign him, and hopefully he comes back good next year as well. Mike Craig, 30 points and a plus 4. Paul Broughton, 8 points in 54 games. As for defensemen, Darian Hatcher, 23 points. Cavallini, 23 points. Lapsky, 20 points. Ledyard, 19 points. Matvichuk, 16. Smolik, 12. And 1 goal in 2 games for Ludwig. As for our goaltending, Andy Moog had a pretty good season. But, yeah, Darcy Wakaluk, it wasn't really that good. Like, his save percentage is all right for this time and era, but his goals against is kind of bad. Let's take a look at the entire league for points briefly. So we want to go to entire league. Okay, so the leader in points this season was Mario Lemieux with 115 points, followed by Gretzky with 110, Yager with 109, Bure with 103, and Joe Mullen with 100. So Pittsburgh scored quite a bit of goals this year. As for goal scoring, the leader in goals was Pavel Bure. Realistic. The best plus minus this year was Jaromir Jagr. Wow. Holy the pens. That top line, plus 70, plus 69, plus 58. It's crazy. As for penalty minutes, the leader in penalty minutes was Pat Verbeek with 218 while still putting up 58 points. That's pretty realistic for him because he was the kind of guy that put up points but also was very physical. Let's take a look at defensive points quickly and in goalies. So the best defenseman this year for points was Brian Leach, so he's going to win the Norris more than likely, unless for some reason Gary Galley takes it again. Penalty minutes for defenseman was Jari Kurlahti for Finland. Now in terms of goaltending, the best goalie for wins was Patrick Waugh with 44 wins. The best for shutouts was Marty Brodeur with 8 shutouts. The best save percentage by a starter was Nikolai Heavy-Bullen with a 923, and the best goals against by a starter was Mike Richter with a 2.35. The worst goals against by a starter was Roman Turek with a 3.76, which is horrendous. Considering last year, I think he was way better. Yeah, that's just a major drop off in production from him. Okay, how about rookies? How did people like Daniel Alfredsson perform? Alfredsson won the Rookie of the Year, which makes sense. 61 points. Paul Correa came into the league, 53 points. Boucher had 32. Lafreniere only 29. It's kind of weird. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the standings, and then we'll take a look at the progress reports, and then that'll be it for this episode. I'll probably also actually show you guys the draft class again. So Montreal was the best team in the league with 117 points this season. The best for goals for per game was the Pittsburgh Penguins with 3.78. The best for goals against was the Montreal Canadiens with a 2.41. The best power play this year was the Pittsburgh Penguins at 25.6%. And the best penalty kill this season was the Chicago Blackhawks at 87.2. As for us, how did we finish in terms of all this stuff? So penalty kill wise, we were all right on the penalty kill. It looks like 82.6%. Our power play looks like it had a really bad year though. Yeah, we had the third worst power play in the league at 12.9%. Goals against per game, we were one of the worst defensively, like top 10 for worst defensive teams. And then goals for per game, we were also pretty bad. So we got to fix our team up quite a bit in order to make a push for the playoffs. It could be just because of the division we're in, because the division we're in is very strong, but who knows. Let's take a look at those progress reports quickly, but as you can see, yeah, the last playoff team in our division was the Jets with 82 points. We had 73, so we were back above them by 9 points. Huh. Okay, so let's take a look at those progress reports and then the draft class, and then that'll be it for this video. So in terms of growth, we have people dropping off a lot on our team, which is not a good sign. So we're definitely gonna have to sign some new pieces. Ludwig is dropping off. Andy Moog is on decline. Pelly Eklund as well. Trent Klatt's probably growing. Vason's dropping maybe. Ledyard is dropping. Yeah, we have a lot of guys that are on the decline. Neil Broughton as well, down to an 84. As for in the system, though, we do have some good growth. It looks like, yep, Lundell's already at 75 and listed as a fourth liner, so he should be in the NHL by next season. How was his season down there in the minors? 42 points. Not too bad. Evgeny Nabokov is a 74. And he had a very good year down there in the AHL. So that's a good sign as well. How about Thomas Fokun? He's up to a 71, and he had a pretty solid year over there in, I think that's Sparta Praha, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we have some good growth in our system, which is good, but our NHL team is getting up there in age, so we're going to have to start signing some young guys in the off season and stuff like that to help us out. Let's actually take a look at the pending free agents as well for you guys, so you could already see potentially who could be available in free agency. A lot of these guys probably will re-sign with their teams, but some of them could be free agents. So if you see anything you want me to potentially go after if they are available in free agency, let me know as well. Just because if I do all the offseason in the next episode, I want some suggestions. Like we could bring in the other Courtnall brother to play with our Courtnall. There is quite a bit of players that could hit the free agent market this year. As for goalies, is there any big name goalies this year? There's Curtis Joseph, who could be a free agent, so that would be a really good signing to bring in. So yeah, those are the potential free agents for the season. And quickly, let's take a look at the draft class. See if there's anything interesting in the draft class. We don't know where we're going to be drafting still, but hopefully we have a pretty good pick. So there looks like to be quite a bit of elite guys. If we are like around here, I might go with somebody that is like EA generated over somebody that's real, because usually those guys turn out to be better. So yeah, that is the draft class as well. There is tons of goalies in the draft, so if you guys want me to still go after another goalie like Kippersoff, for example, we could always do that, but I would rather see computers get a chance to take one of those goalies since we already have two. So there you go. So anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of our Dallas Stars franchise mode. So in next episode, we will have the off season, hopefully the entire off season. I'd assume so. And yeah, hopefully we could pick up some good pieces to get this team to like being a contender, because we're just struggling these first few years of this franchise mode. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.